So we pay our respects to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures and to elders past, present and emerging, and to anyone who may be here present tonight. As Lou said, we are an inclusive, safe and respectful organisation, and so we celebrate diversity and we actively support the inclusion of children, young people and adults from the LGBTQIA+ communities, people with disabilities, people from diverse cultural and linguistic backgrounds, and people with diverse religious beliefs and affiliations. So here we all are. There was a group of, we started out as about 13 and a few people filtered in and joined us later in the day. So we all met at the toy fair on Sunday and it was my first time. So it was a bit exciting. I was a kid in a candy store. So let's talk about what some of the hot toys that we saw were. Some of these are broken down by the brands that we know them as, because there was quite a few things, and others are more generally about some of the suppliers that we have available to us through Toy Community. And then at the end, we've got a bit of an overview of Toy Community, some updates from Helen and where we're going. So the other thing that I will do in the background here is I've got some videos, but they wouldn't quite play for me through the program. So I will try and flip screens to that. So you may have seen on the Facebook groups at the Tommy Fat Brain stand, one of the hot toys was this air tubes. So our participants, our visitors gave it a red hot go, and they can, let me see, is that now show? Can you see a video there? Yep, cool. All right, so let's have a bit of a look here.
It's stuck here. Ah, that is why.
So as you can see, a fair bit of play went on there, and hang on, there's my screen. Let me go back. There we go. So lots of experimentation. The feedback that we got from our testers was that it does appear to be robust enough, and those balls are quite a dense foam rather than soft collapsible. Does anyone who had a good play want to comment on what they thought? No. So we believe that that will be around about the $250 mark in terms of price. These ones,
just on that, Erin, Diane, before that was what we were looking at was the basic pack plus an addition. So the basic, just for everyone, the basic pack is was quite a bit less than all of that. So if you wanted to replicate what we saw, it'll be more than $250.
Okay. Excellent. So that's a good starting point, but I guess that's a really good STEM play, great for kids who are exploring some of those concepts, and just kids who generally love to chase around after balls. Also coming later in the year is these, what do they call them? They're play tags. So you can see in the first picture there, there's a square of 6 of them, or a rectangle of 6, and those tabs are all interchangeable. So they are going to have a range of different, so you can see there's the squeaker, temperature, gears, and all of the other sensory and motion exploration. So they're going to be an exciting addition to the range coming in the second half of the year. So they were probably the most exciting things. And then you can see up here, we got a couple of broad shots of the shelves. A lot of those toys you'd be quite familiar with, and there's a few new ones in there. So Fat Brain is always, I think, going to continue to be popular in toy libraries. And if we can get onto those group buys together, that's a great way for everyone to access them. What's not hot, we had a good play with the Pretendables, and I know that a number of toy libraries ordered some of these in the group by last year, and have been really disappointed with the quality. So that's our what's not hot from Fat Brain. That those Pretendables probably aren't going to hold up very long in a toy library setting. They looked good, but there's also quite a fair bit of felt, was the other feedback that we had from those. Hape is one of our other big suppliers. Got a couple of people joining. So Hape being one of our other big suppliers, there's a couple of new things in there. We've had the piano's a popular one that's been around for a while, but this new little ball run with a xylophone at the bottom looks like it's going to be a popular one. The Trigo was an interesting outdoor activity game that looked like it was going to do well for either party packs or outdoor sections. And we love these little koalas. So Hape, we'll have a few more, but our main suppliers that we use through Toy Community, we have Bellbird, we have U Games, and we have Playroom, is who our suppliers are. We also had some great feedback around, if you can see on the top shelf there, this new rocket set, so space station set combined with the train tracks and a few, some rockets and other mountains and hills and climbing going on there. So that looks like a good one that's coming. And you can see a range of their other general toys there as well. Lots of great musical toys for early years for anyone who doesn't already have those in their collection. There was also some fantastic new pretend plays. So we've got a great new barbecue coming. There's a mini grill up on top there. There's a little toaster and a new kitchen as well on the go. And the rocker that has been previously available has had a bit of a refresh. You've now got an oar that actually moves backwards and forwards, and you've got a bell and steering wheel, and things just make it a little bit more interactive. So that little rocker's had a refresh as well. Moving on, does anyone want to comment on Hape whilst we're going through?
Did someone test the oars? Because I just think that's so cute. Like,
It is
are they
super
going
cute.
to last? Are they going to
They
stay?
are. I felt that they were really strong. I got on there and I was having a good wiggle, and they're solid. So there's actually a piece in behind there that they're connected to. So they're pivoting on. Yeah, and they make a cool ratcheting sound as well. So
that's so cute.
Like they'll last. Yeah. And the bell's got a cute little ding too. So as soon as we walked in, a number of started exploring the Magblock stand, and we're actually pleased to say Magblocks is going to be one of the Victorian group buys coming up for the training day in Victoria. But what they have, their point of difference so they've got all of your standard magnetic tiles that you'd be used to, the shapes. They've got obviously different shaped triangles, you've got your standard squares, and you've got your ball run pieces. The point of difference that Magblocks has is that they have introduced two types of connectors that are compatible with Duplo and so one with Duplo and one with Lego, which means that the connection point in particular, as you can see pictured there, the connection points between the tubes for your ball run is a much more solid connection than some of the other brands just have small, quite fiddly little plastic pieces that connect in, which is kind of tricky for little people to do themselves. And even my own experience, I've found with my kids who are primary school age now, I found that they needed a bit of assistance to get those to click in and stay clicked in. So it's probably a really exciting game changer for kids who are actually wanting to get into building for themselves. I don't know whether you'd go down the path of the Lego ones. We thought that the Duplo was probably enough to see what's going on and to get kids involved in it. But I suppose if you're extending into your older kid ranges, then that would be a possibility as well. So they have both the connector bricks, and they've also got connectors that, from what we could see, this setup here was quite large, with a ball running all the way through it. So the stability of the actual tunnels was an improvement on what we've seen in other ones. Did anyone else want to chime in on mag blocks? They, of course, have gone, so they've got their brights, but like everything, they're also going to their pastels as well. Lou, the ball, it seemed like the standard size. There's like that standard larger size, so it's okay for your 3-year-olds. But yeah, it's not marble size, but it's that bigger standard. Okay. So Tenderleaf, there's lots of exciting, really cute little things at the Tenderleaf stall. Their coffee set with the actual, it's not just coffee, it's not just empty cups. They actually had things to sit in the cups so that they could make patterns. Their food sets was super cute as well. And all of these little, so you had the little forest creatures were gorgeous. Apparently someone said the mousies all had little names underneath them. So our supplier generally for Tenderleaf, you are available through Kaleidoscope and through Playroom, are the two main suppliers through Toy Community. And then just for fun, some of our friends managed to find Emma. So we didn't spend all of our time looking at toys, so we had a bit of a play too. All right, so then moving on to Bellbird, who's one of our Toy Community suppliers. They've got brands such as Yellow Door, which is the rollers, and the Let's Roll Seasons rollers are their new ones in that range. But they also have, if you haven't seen them before, they have Emotions rollers. So they're a solid stone roller with patterning around the outside that can roll, but then each of the ends of the rollers has a different shape in it as well. So they all add to the play. So with the Emotions ones, you roll out the body and then you stamp the face that they're feeling. They've also got different environments. So they have an oceans, they have a pond life, a forest. So they're a really interesting brand if you're looking to get into some of the sensory play. And then they also have some fabulous mirrored, lots of different mirrored shapes. And Ticket has some really great sensory, so they had these small sensory tubes, but they also have another range of sensory items as well. And then they had these great setups as well, which was, so obviously they've got things that can be made into story sacks. So they've got your Three Little Pigs, Goldilocks, Jack and the Beanstalk. So they had a fairy tale setting, which was quite popular. They also have IQ Music as one of their brands, which is these all the different drums and shapes and shakers down there. Ticket also has some of the your STEM play, looking at light and exploring all of those different things using light panels. And then you've got your sound prisms. So there's lots of different things to explore with Bellbird as a supplier. Did anyone have other thoughts on Bellbird? They also do the Stanley Junior role play toys. So they've got the real hammers and actual noise making tools. That's what I'm trying to say. So they had a lot of pretend play stuff there as well.
With the music ones, Erin, did everyone have a bit of a play for, like, does it sound good? Is the quality in terms of the music good?
I was happy with the music. I always like to have a bit of a play. That's the one thing that bugs me. So it's mostly they didn't have any xylophones on display, and that's one thing that I usually try and make sure is actually toned correctly. But the other instruments, they all seemed to make good noises. They were good quality.
We have some of those at Q, and yep, they hold up really well.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. That's good.
So the wooden prisms, I think there's meant to be a little bit more difference between the sound. But look, I think they would hold up well in a toy library environment.
Yeah, they're a good little intro sound discriminatory item. Yeah.
And I think as well the price point on them is good, rather than some of the really expensive musical instruments that you can get your hands on. They're probably a good middle of the range for quality, price for quality. So we spent a lot of time wandering around modern brands, and there are more brands than we can mention here. I am going to quickly pull up a video here. Okay. So Catherine.
That's nice because you can change the tracks all the time.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you can even with sharp, you can write numbers. And then you have to pull this.
Yeah,
This
the
is
lever.
one-
Well,
no.
it's another lever.
Yeah, and then that one.
Oh.
So we had a lot of fun playing. Here we go. So that's the pinball machine, and as we investigated, so you get quite a few of those, the little pins to actually put in the pinball machine, and they're just elastic bands, so easily replaceable, consumable. A lot of fun.
I really like them. I think they're a great free-form type of. They could almost be slightly coding scientific because you're creating it and seeing what works and what doesn't work with your pinball creation. So I reckon they'll be really good.
Yeah, a great cause and effect. If I put this here, will it? Yeah. The other thing that was pretty cool was this dollhouse, and I can't quite get it all in the photo, but this dollhouse is their environmental dollhouse. So it's got a recycling station, it's got solar panels, it's got a wind turbine, and a whole bunch of other really cool features. Quality seemed to be good. It was on the larger side for in terms of transporting or storing it for a toy library, but if you are in the market for a reasonable sized dollhouse, we thought that was a pretty cool option.
Erin, how well did that transport? I thought when you were looking at it, seemed to be bits came separated, or did it break down into easily separate pieces?
Yeah, lots of the bits. Lots of the bits came off it. So you would have to have if you run an accessories rack, or so you'd have to figure out a way to either store the whole lot together. I think it'd probably be too large for a single box. But bits of it did come apart. So to make it a little bit more manageable. There was a smaller one, and I think I've got a photo coming up as well, that actually collapsed into itself. And these are all planned, those were Plan Toys brand. Thanks, Claire. So they had a couple of different options for doll houses. So that smaller one actually collapsed in on itself as well. So I think it just depends where you're at with your toy library in terms of space, and whether toy libraries have the space to store bigger ones, or whether you've got families looking for smaller toys that are more manageable in size. Lots of different games available through Modern Brands as well. So we had a bit of a play of a Disney twist on Labyrinth, and there were some really good junior games as well. They also have ELC as a brand, so that the Happy Land options are good for those early years, and the quality of those seems to still be holding up. I know that in my toy library, we'd had Happy Land that lasted for a long time, and it was only some of the separatable pieces that went missing. We loved some of the inclusive things that are coming through from Miniland, from their dolls, with varying different conditions I know that there's one with a cochlear implant. This little doll here has vitiligo, and then they've got the wheelchair that they're selling. They also sell glasses now, and they've got a really cute range of clothing. I don't know whether they will hold up as well under Toy Library. A lot of them seem to be knits, but they were pretty cute. Jumping back, so you've got the Plan Toys, very simple pirate ship, so probably good for your early years. Melissa and Doug is also through Modern Brands, but you can also source Melissa and Doug through a range of different sources as well. So this Melissa and Doug actually drops down spinning tops. It releases them out as spinning tops, and they spin around in the bottom. So it's a good cause and effect. But lots of new imaginative pretend play, and some refreshes on existing popular toys. So the ice cream set's had a refresh, and the sandwich set has had a refresh. These little vehicles here, I thought they were really cool. They all come apart, so they're actually interchangeable, make your own vehicles. So you could have a half digger and half fire engine, make them what you want. So I think they'd be good ones if you're packaging multiple different cars in one, so that kids can have an experiment.
With toddies, just watch out, because some of their cars have button batteries.
Okay, that's a great one. I didn't see I didn't see any of those having them, but maybe they might do.
They might hopefully have stopped in their later models, because I haven't seen those models before. But yeah, the ones that I think they've still got them from sales, some of them do. If it makes a noise, be alert.
Yeah, 100%. These were some that we did ask. So with Ravensburger, they're a Modern Brands brand. We thought this Gruffalo game looked really cool, ages 4 and up, and it would probably really engage kids who are starting to get into reading and who've really loved the book. We did ask if they had any more of those type, so literacy-based games coming, but that was the only one that they could point us to. But certainly they are including, they're starting to include more branded and licensed games as refreshes of some of their different games. Is that Labyrinth, or is that Gruffalo? Fantastic. There you go, vote from Claire. I think I'd like to get it for Grovedale. I'm keen to try it. And so then more Melissa and Doug there. Again, lots of fell with the Melissa and Doug's, so that's a word of warning as to how well they hold up within your toy library. Hallett is also one of their brands, and they're also a great option for early musical instruments and noisemakers. The Orchard games are ever popular with modern brands, and there's always a great range there coming out. And then the Schley, we love the dragons, so they've got a whole range of fantasy creatures coming out over the next little while. So these ones have come out. They have also got, we had a play, they've got these cubes that are like battle cubes, and they all fit together. But when we had an experiment with them, the small parts in those we thought probably wouldn't stand up to toy library use. But certainly the figurines themselves would be great addition if you've got castles or any of those other fantasy imaginative toys. Noodle pods. This was one that everyone has been saying they've been popping up on their Facebook feed. So let me, if we've got a couple of minutes, I will just pull up their video here. Hang on. Let's hear from
things. A lot of parents have asked me questions like, how long is it going to take me to do something for my child that they're going to enjoy? So I'm going to focus on like things that move: rocking horses, wheeled carts, and just see how many I can come up with in the next minute. A minute for you, a bit longer for me, where you'll see a whole bunch of different configurations that you can build really quickly. Let's just see where we get to. All right, let's go. Okay, so I thought I'd start off with the simplest thing, which is just 4 wheels, no handle, nothing, just really, really simple. That took about 30 seconds. And then I thought I'd go with the simplest rocking horse. Again, no handles. There it is. Just the 2 curved arms on the box. And then I'm going to go with the rocking horse, but on the ends, more like a cradle or a cot. You can put the lid on and sit on it, or you can put a toy inside. And then I thought I'd go with the ride-on with the caster wheel. So this spins in all different directions, put the lid on. And then I was like, oh, you know what? What if you put a handle on this? Maybe if I put a handle on this, then there's something for them to grab onto. And that came together in a few seconds. Little spin around. And then I thought, well, you can also turn the handle around and turn it into like a shopping trolley. You can take the lid off and put the lid on. Then I created this crazy thing where I had sort of caster wheels at the front and round wheels at the back. And then I put the round wheels on. So same thing, little shopping trolley, but with the forwards and backwards wheels for a less stable walker would be good. And then I wanted to try and show you all the different configurations you can do with the big curved arms. So here's another walker with a much higher handle for an older child. You can put all sorts of things in that, carry stuff around the house. Again, an even higher handle. I mean, you can create so many handles here. You can go up and down and create this in heaps of different ways. And then here I started experimenting with, well, what if I use the L-shaped arms as well? Maybe I could create sort of, I don't know, crazy handle that hung down in some sort of weird way based there. And I thought, that actually looks a little bit like a windscreen or something. So what if I move that forwards to the front holes, and then I make it a little bit higher on the top here? And what that created was kind of like a car windscreen, but it was sitting back a little bit far. So I thought, what if I add some of the straps in the pod to the front here? Maybe I can just pull that forward so it's not touching the child's head, so it gets out of their way a little bit. Now I'm just totally forgotten what I was doing in the video, and I'm doing my own thing. And there we have this little car with a windscreen. And then I thought, you know what, why don't I put some little wing mirrors on the side there? So just a quick little time lapse of me starting from, I'm just going to start playing around and experimenting. I didn't really know where I was going. Quite happy with this cute little design. I've never built that before. And that's where I ended up. Sometimes.
All right. I will leave that one there. So that's in a nutshell. If you haven't seen noodle pods popping up, it all of those pieces fit into that little box. So the pros that we see, that's super open-ended. It comes with cards for suggestions for how to build. I think it's up to 50 different objects from it, but then it's open. You can do whatever you feel with it afterwards. The construction techniques appeared to be fairly intuitive, like the grasp on the pieces. There are spare parts available, and they're coming from Melbourne. Each pod itself comes with more parts than needed, so it's inbuilt. It's got some spare parts to start with, and it does appear to be Toy Library tough. It is coming uncoated though, so it would he would recommend that Toy Libraries coat it with a non-toxic coating to protect from drawing incidents, for example. And he was actually really willing to share a quite a cost-effective mixture from that you can get all of the parts from Bunnings for. So yeah, there's a bit of work to be done to probably make them Toy Library tough. They are not a new company though. Like, that was when I first saw them floating around. I said, I wasn't sure whether, you know, Toy Libraries don't want to get involved really with new companies straight off the bat. But they have been making larger scale sets for educational incursions for quite some time. So they're not brand new to the scene. The biggest con is it's going to be expensive. So the standard pricing after they launch it is going to be 600 Australian dollars. So that's going to be, unless you've got some grant money floating around, that's quite an investment. That being said, technically, as you saw, it could be a walker, it could be a rocker, it could be any number of different toys. So it could actually take the place of a number of larger toys within your toy library. So Helen is going to have conversations with Noodlepod, but what we can do with Toy Libraries, but basically what Marcus, and he was actually there on the stand, what he was saying to us is that it won't be anywhere near what their launch day discount's going to be. And there could be a delay to their production because they're funding this production of the initial run through Kickstarter. So basically they're dependent on when they get all of their funding. If you love them, if you're already going to buy one for your toy library, the best deal you're going to get is through their launch campaign, which is only on the 28th of February. And they're offering 40% off retail on that first day only. So it'll be 349 Australian, and you need to pay a pre-registration deposit to get access to that. So an extra $32. So there's a link there, but that's only if you already know that your toy library would buy them anyway. If you want to wait and see how it goes, watch this space. So we'll need to see what those discounts are going to be down the track, and if they're going to be affordable. But they do look pretty cool. Did anyone else want to chime in there on what they thought about the noodle pods?
My only concern is that it might be hard to sell to members. Like, they'll come in and they'll see a box and like, what's that big box of stuff? And fair enough, the guy said, oh, well, you can just get them to scan this code and it'll show them a video, and that's fine. But if you've got people that are quickly coming in and out and they're going, well, my kid's not up to that stage yet, or whatever. I totally get the whole feel of the thing, how it's creative and it's intuitive, and the parts are very simple, but I just don't want it to be sitting in a corner not getting borrowed, and when you've paid that much. So it's a lot for a toy library to be, you know, selling it all the time.
Yeah,
you don't know if it's going to be popular or not.
it might be from what I think, it might be a good one that if your toy library runs stay and plays,
Mm.
and you regularly do that, then that might be an avenue for getting the word out about it. But if you're not at that stage, like if you're just to come in and borrow, then it's likely to be, yeah, you're right. It could be a hard sell.
Is it one that's already, like, are they getting out on the socials? So is it going to be the next trending toy? Is it going to be the next Pickler, the next Kinderboard? Is it going to be something that families are going to be coming in asking for because they're doing a great job on their socials?
It's everywhere on socials.
Okay.
A lot of people have said they've been bombed, like, however they're paying and targeting their marketing. I mean, I've already followed them personally and they still keep hitting me. So they're pumping the socials on it. I think it's so it appears to be really taking off in America as well. So between Australia and America, it seems to be getting a lot of traction. It could be a trending toy. The owner and designer Marcus, he seemed really knowledgeable about play. He's been working in the area and designing playgrounds for 20 years. So I think there's a lot of thought gone into it, but it is a big outlay for toy libraries. The next supplier that we have up is a new one, and this is also going to be in the Victorian group buy, which is really exciting, is Clover Street. So they have three brands. They've got Learning Resources, which a lot of you would have seen quite a few toys in that range. Hand to Mind, and Hand to Mind has just got the licensing for number blocks. So we'll see a few of those. These new I thought these new sensory bottles, particularly for those who've worked on the diversity and inclusion grants and looking at some of those sensory things. These are all new coming in the second half of the year, so unfortunately won't make it into this group buy, but they for those group buys later in the year, I'd be putting a hand up for these ones because they look really cool.
They do have a range of other emotion sensory things also available because I got a bunch of them at Q.
Okay.
Yep.
Fantastic. So there is already a range.
Yep.
So those new ones look really cool. So there's your number blocks range. They've got all of these, the learning resources. So this greenhouse, everyone wants one, but again, also not coming out until the second half of the year. But good vegetable gardens, lots of counting, numeracy, literacy based toys, but in fun, engaging formats. This puzzle globe, so all of those continents come off and the names and have to go back on the right spot. So that looked really cool. And these are some of the other ones that we've picked up as being popular and may make it into our group buy. So the Big Feelings Pineapple, they also, Learning Resources has Botley, and they've got a range of other really great coding toys as well. They have these the jumbo, a range of different jumbo animals, which seem to be good quality. Have people already got? They're not new, so if other people, they've held up well with quality. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. And these engineering, so they had about 4 or 5 different engineering and STEM-based play based on things that people know. So there's a tree house, this is the playground, there's a city, and there's a skate park. So a range of different STEM-based exploration construction toys to solve problems with problem cards.
Yeah, those engineering sets are good. I've had them at Hastings for quite a few years. So yeah, they're good ones to have as an alternative STEM item.
Fantastic. With a bit of I think with a bit of a theme to them, it makes them really engaging, rather than just here's some blocks and gears and try and make it into something. Now, have we got Laura on? There's my participant list. Laura, was keen to chat about some of the games that she'd seen. If you're there, Laura, unmute yourself. If you've not made it, that's okay. So look, there are lots of game suppliers, U Games, Modern Brands, VR Distribution, and heaps more. So these are just some of the ones that we saw. Acorn Soup being an option for starting at your 2+ rather than most of the games that are starting at 3+. Story Time Chess has expanded into a level 2 and a level 3, and now they've got backgammon as well. Some fun puzzles. And games and leveled puzzles. Did anyone see anything that stood out to them in terms of the games and puzzles?
Yeah, those TOI puzzles, the level puzzles, I haven't had them, but they looks really cool. And I think Amy mentioned that it is quite good quality and good price as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think as well, appealing to making sure that we're appealing to a diverse demographic as well. So I think they would go well. And then we've obviously, a lot of people will have had Tenzi. So there's a range of games in that realm. Cosmoctopus looked like a really cool, interesting game, different spin on things. And then depending on how you feel about having musical items within the toy library, we did like the look of the Tonys. Which one's that one? There it is. Excuse me. There we go. Again, I'm not sure how well, has anyone got Tonys in their toy library? Is that something that anyone would consider including?
I have my committee members who's from Germany said that it is quite popular over there, and it's just finally coming over to Australia. So she's quite keen on this toy. She says, yeah, I saw the demo. It's very intuitive for young children to play with, and I think the box comes with 2 of those kind of toys to start off with. I think and then you can't buy extra kind of figures to put on top of the Tonys.
Yeah. Yeah. I think because it's a leather casing, so I think that it would hold up okay for a while. Whether their toy libraries appropriate, or whether that's something that's more for families, but for things for them to have a try of, and that try before you buy, they could be a good option. And then this was a cool ball run that we had a bit of a play with.
Yeah, this isn't a new product. They've been around for a while, but they're really good quality and they last and last and last. But that brand Play Me also do the Pat Bells that everyone has. So
yeah,
that's well worth remembering, that brand.
Yeah. Fantastic. All right. And then we've just got a selection of other bits and pieces. So Artywood's one of our other major toy community suppliers. If you the toy library kids want to work out with their parents. There was a great little gym set. The sensory table from Clement Tony. There was some worry about how that silicon would hold up, and that was one of the other comments from Amy this year, was that there was a lot of silicon getting around. So that seems to be a really popular thing. But as I'm sure a lot of toy librarians would have noticed, silicon often gets really sticky over time. So that'll be interesting to see how they hold up. A new range of Disney branded stuff.
That Moana one is Playmobil 1, 2, 3, and that was part of Modern Brands.
Okay.
So yeah, but they didn't have many there. They looked cute, but they didn't have that and some other Disney thing. Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see whether how you would sell that in terms of play value. You know, how do you bundle it to make it into a
Some of the smaller Playmobil 1, 2, 3 are great for toy libraries because they don't have many pieces, and most toy libraries hate Playmobil because there's too many pieces. But these ones are nice, and they have a limited amount of pieces, and they actually they're borrowed just fine.
Okay.
At Q at least. So yeah.
Awesome. We had some also from Clement Tony, some good early remote control cars. I'm sure that's that's something that gets asked for a lot in my house, is remote control cars. The foosbots. Does anyone remember who the foosbots were from? Thanks, Di. You're going back to your book, I can see.
Yep.
The Moby was another one of the silicons. So that was the Oomples and the Swooshles. But they looked really cool for sensory play. We all agreed that the Grims and the Grappat were very pretty, but whether that's something that's affordable for toy libraries. But certainly they have great pretend play impact.
Oh yeah. I was just going to say the Chico do a better remote control car than the previous one because it moves better. Yeah, it's more intuitive for the steering wheel side of things.
Okay, that's great feedback. So
the Chico up and down button, whereas the Chico one you just move left and right with the steering wheel, so it's easier for the younger child.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. So you had the car there, you had the Vespa as well. We had a few people asking about these sensory walls as well from La Belle. And there they are there. So less of a take home kind of toy and more if you've got space in your toy library to display and wanting to engage kids whilst they're actually within the toy library. Coming in the second half of the year, we all agreed that the Leapfrog Sunday machine was going to be a big hit. The Batat, the ice cream shop there, and again, not new, but very popular. And then at the bottom there, the Leisure Learning has a great range of mini and normal size magnetic animals and also cars and vehicles. So mixing and matching, having a lot of fun with those. So Leisure Learning had a great range there, and they do all of the smart games. Jumping back again to Bellbird, we had some more fantasy. So we had some, obviously, Year of the Dragon. That was a real theme. There was lots of dragons floating around. So everyone had them on display. So Bellbird had a great fantasy there. Artywood had more of the silicon with some of their sand and water play things. And then we had a couple of new Bosch. We got a jackhammer and looks like an angle grinder of some description. So more of that imaginative play. And now we're over to Helen.
Thank you, Erin. that was wonderful. So such nice pictures and good comments from everyone. So for anybody who isn't using Toy Community already, Toy Community is a site where we display suppliers who have agreed to make special arrangements for toy libraries, whether it be wholesale arrangement like they would usually offer to a toy store, or a lot of them do a discount off RRP when we get in touch with them. We, during the selection process, we really want to use toy suppliers that are based in Australia for safety and compliance reasons. There's no finance that passes through Toy Community, so you're going to log on, look for a supplier that you're interested in, or even look for a brand, and then find out if one of those suppliers is doing it. So if you're looking for Tolo, for example, then you would go, because Arta would have a range of Tolo toys there at the moment. You visit the page on Toy Community. I'm sorry I can't show you any of those right now because I'm on my iPad and I don't want to switch between. We'll just stick with the presentation for today. But when you're welcome to browse it when you're ready, it's available for members only. It's exclusive, so there's a sign-up process, and it usually takes me about 48 hours to maximum to approve your access to Toy Community. We also, when we have sometimes have suppliers come and approach us, especially after Toy Fair, and even though we would love to have everybody on board, sometimes it's not the best fit for toy libraries, or the range is not quite wide enough to be interesting for toy libraries, or to warrant the kind of extra admin work that goes into it, or the space it takes up on the site basically. So if they've only got kind of 14 to 24 toys on their site, we're going to be like, okay, thanks, come back later. And some people come to us and say, I found this great toy supplier and they're doing this, but then we excuse me, might go and investigate their website, and they have a lot of the brands that we already have. So it just takes a little bit of investigation when you're going through Toy Community, and you just browse the supplier page that you'd like to look at, and then there's a link to their website and there's ordering instructions there. Let's go to the next slide, Erin. So last year we engaged with Switched On Kids, who are based in South Australia, and he was lovely. He came to the South Australia training day and talked about the STEM packages he was offering, and he really was keen to sell kind of a package of various toys which relate to each other, because he's very educationally minded, a bit like our friend from Noodlepod. Bright Wonders Education, they're also based in South Australia, and they have Haba and Jano. Never know how to say that brand. Magblocks, Erin's already talked about them, and they were really keen to jump on. With Magblocks, we got the wholesale, which is great news, but there was a 350 minimum spend, which we know a lot of toy libraries can't manage. So it's a perfect opportunity to go for the group buy. And we have Clover Street. So Clover Street actually isn't up on the site yet. Some details about Clover Street is that they are a family-run company, and they run their stock very lean. So when Erin was saying about a lot of the cool toys, they're not going to be available till later in the year, because what they'll do is they'll fill up their warehouse and then they'll run it right down. So stock availability can change quite quickly. So again, because of the instability of the supplier and how we put the power of the toy buying through Toy Community in the hands of the toy library, we wouldn't want to be giving you the wrong information or sending you back and forth to a supplier and wasting your time basically. So we're just keeping that one on reserve. For people who are interested in Clover Street, you can email me and email the page, and I can give you all of the details. Here on the right, we've got suppliers that I just haven't made it onto the site yet, but we know that we're going to have these deals. That's Yarn Strong Sister, who were at the international conference last year. Just need to get back in touch with them, because they were keen on a 20% off their Indigenous stories, toys, and resources. Toy networks, I was mainly interested in getting in touch with them because of their range of VTech, which we hadn't had a direct supplier for before. Growing Kind, they're a really nice company, and they are going to start their own toy library on the side of their business, which was interesting. That's going to be, I was looking at their range today, but they have some of the things that we've seen before. But again, it's just another option, and it looks like it will be a discount off RRP. And the Indigenous Creative Games and Resources, we're really keen for that one. They've, as it says, it's games, and it's 100% made and envisaged by the Indigenous. So we're excited to get more of those suppliers on board. So I've just listed on the left here. Let's go back to the other slide, Erin. Sorry, I'll stop talking eventually. And
Helen, where
go
is
on,
that Indigenous group based? Like, what resources, what community would they be representing? More than just one, or one?
She told me, I can find it now. I think she might have just told me on the phone.
It's okay, you can let me know later.
Wait, I found it. I got it. I'm good. No, they're although they are, she did tell me on the phone that they're based in a particular area or country, but they have not specified that in their marketing material. There's a lot of books there more than toys, but we're still keen to have them on board for the games and resources that you might use in your toy library. So some of the suppliers that we have, they are always evolving. So they'll get new ordering processes, they will change their offer, and they will they might notice toy libraries like Kaleidoscope. So the sales of Kaleidoscope went up, and they decided, you know, we should take the time to make it easier for toy libraries. So Kaleidoscope, you now have your own individual accounts rather than, and you can sign up for those on Toy Community, rather than sharing an account where you run the risk of the delivery address being entered incorrectly and it's going to the wrong place or anything like that, which is really good. So for anyone who's browsing and then goes and gets some toys, and there's what you do or the ordering process doesn't match what we have, please let me know, because this information doesn't always get fed back to me, but all the information we get from you is really, really, really valuable in improving the site. We can go next slide. Thanks, Erin. So this year, the goals for Toy Community were to get some more Indigenous resource and toy suppliers on board, and kind of try and, or even not necessarily get them on board on a national level, but just go out there and find the suppliers. So maybe you can make a local connection and that supports our RAP from Toy Librarians Australia. I'd like to really stay connected with the toy suppliers that we do have, because as it says at the bottom here, if they don't recognize there's a significant sales amount of sales from toy libraries, then they could drop the discount if they review their sales or if they review their operations. Staying in contact with them is important. That's why sometimes there'll be an instruction on Toy Community that to contact me to go through to the supplier for your order. For example, Easy Roller. That's just because we want to remind people about toy libraries and make sure that we can, maintain those relationships. The sales activity that I mentioned, that helps. So if everybody's feeding back to the supplier and using Toy Community, then that gives us a bit more power to get better discounts, number one, and to engage some of the bigger suppliers that we don't get. I have been today looking at the brand listing after getting some new catalogs from the Toy Fair. I'm able to update the brand spreadsheet, which is on the brands tab of Toy Community. And you can look there for search brand and then see which supplier it is. So that should be updated soon. And then maybe towards the end of the year, we'll have a bit more of a fancy search function for brands. But because they do change quite often, we're going to have to really make sure it works before doing it. And we will be doing the group buys. So really briefly, a group buy is when we have a supplier that might only offer a product quantity, like, oh, you have to buy 6 ice cream sundae things, the things that you were looking at. You have to buy 6 of those, you can't buy any less. So, or they might say that you have to spend $1,000, like Tomy, who's our supplier for Fat Brain. So that's when we get together a whole bunch of toy libraries, and we have one central delivery location, and then we either do pickup from that location, or we do forward freight to other places. So we want to be able to offer 2 per year to all of the toy libraries. After Toy Fair, I had Diane and Erin and Debbie feedback to me, which was really, really helpful about who we knew was going to be very popular and who we should get on board with. Dolly's Tribe was there. And as far as I know, they're a kind of smaller family-run business, so we'll have to work out the best kind of arrangement there, but that looked really cool. Educational comes from 2 people who were formerly at edX, which used to be a major supplier for toy libraries, so we're excited for that. There's an outdoor games supplier, Genjo Games there, and Goki Toys, who have got in touch with me today, and they're really keen to get on board. So when they are on the site and the details have been released, which sometimes takes a bit of back and forth or a meeting, then we'll announce it in the newsletter, the Toy Labs Australia newsletter. And there I've just listed some of the brands that I had feedback on that I'm going to try and find for me. Should we go to the chat? There was loads in the chat that I missed, Erin. I can't see the chat. Can you see the chat, Erin? Oh, here we go.
Yep, I'll unmute. Yep. I can see the chat there.
Oh, here we go. Where were we? Tony's. Yeah, I'll add Tony's to my list of things to look at, find out how we can get that. And the VTech and Leapfrog, we do have a direct contact with them, and they're a little bit more keen than we were. The M&D food trolley has paper card items.
Yep.
Is Noodle Cart on Toy Community? No, it's not yet. Oh, that's been replied to. Good. Elaine, how did Magblocks, Magnetiles, and Kinetics compare? Everybody weigh in. Go. Let's talk this out.
Anyone else want to throw in?
I just think they're all very similar. Like some of them are pretty much the same thing. You either want a fully enclosed magnetic tile, which is what Magblocks and Kinetics are, and then there's other ones. Is it Magformers? The ones that are just like the outline shape, and they're magnetic, and they're the ones that you can get cheap knockoffs through Kmart and things like that. But they're pretty much all the same. But I did like when we went there and we saw the connectors for which one was that? Was that Magblocks?
Magblocks?
Yeah. I did like those connectors because it meant that you could do great big, tube marble run tubes and not have a big stand of tiles sort of like precariously stacked on each other to hold up that tube. So having those sort of those connectors which went together a lot easier and had like the Duplo nodules on them, that actually looks really good for, and that'll be a winner in toy libraries, I think. But I don't know whether you can use those particular connectors on the other similar
yeah,
type of
they do.
magnetic tiles.
They said you could.
You can, so you could
Yep.
just get those connectors and use them with another brand.
Yeah.
I did get a bit of feedback from Debbie that there was more kind of copies, more magnetic tile copies. So
Yeah,
it is worth investigating, because you could fall foul of getting ones that aren't quite durable enough. And
Yes.
that's why we have the recommendations that we have.
yeah.
And then I think the last question on there is, does TLA have a top 5, top 10 toys? And Lou's replied there, yep. Every toy library is different, and it really depends on where your membership demographic is sitting at a particular point in time. Certainly, I know with my toy library at Grovedale, we went through a period where we couldn't keep enough baby toys on the shelves, and the fat brain toys were flying off, and they were never in the toy library. But what's happened now a year later is all of those children are starting to get into the imaginative place. So they've moved on. So it really depends what ages and stages your particular demographic is currently sitting at. And as Lou said, that's where put it out to the discussion group and see what feedback you get, because you'll hear differing opinions from different toy libraries. It'll also differ between country, as I can see you're in Bright. So country and regional and rural will differ from metro toy libraries as well, because it may be based on how people are actually getting to your toy library.
The size of their vehicles.
Yes, the size of their vehicles, or if they're walking or on a bike or on a bus. So that will all play into factors.
There is also a popular toys list, which was developed by Debbie on Toy Community. It's under popular toys, but it was developed in 2020, 2021 when the revamp of the website took place. But it's more like a top 100. But there's only sort of 4 suppliers there, so you wouldn't be shopping for very long. But it's got at least 7 different categories: imaginative play, games, ride-on, STEM. So it's there if you want to have a look. It's a downloadable spreadsheet.
There's a Grimm's question.
Yes. Grimm's. Let's go back.
So Sally said, Grimm's, are they showing any sign of realizing that